Hi everyone, this is William from the Headphone Experience, and I'm here tonight with my first impressions of the Wavebourn Edelweiss 3. You can see it on the screen behind me, and this is a preamp and headphone amp. And this was loaned to me by, and I apologize if I pronounce the name wrong, by Anatol Lizowski. I hope I got that right, and he is the person that I guess owns Wavebourn, and he also builds these amps. These are hand built in the United States. I think he's out of Austin, Texas. This amp retails at $1,800, and that would be in US dollars. And it is a single-ended Class A1 OTL design, and it is available in either 120 volts 60 hertz or 240 volts 50 hertz for international use. And it uses two of the 8AL9 Compactron tubes, and to be honest, I don't know a whole lot about tubes or the difference between them, but I guess it's a little different than what most headphone amps are using. It also has a third tube. I'm not sure what that is, and I will show you the unit in a minute. It has 4 analog inputs. These are all RCA jacks, single-ended, on the back of the amp. And it has 2 preamp outputs, which are also single-ended RCA connections on the back. And it has 2 6.3 millimeter headphone jacks, which are located on the top. And I think that this is the first amp I've seen with the headphone jacks on the top, but it's actually not a problem. The unit is 12.75 inches wide. It's 8.25 inches deep, and that includes the volume knobs, or the knobs on the front and the connections on the back. And it is about 5.5 inches tall, including the transformer and the tubes sticking out of the top. It weighs in, according to my scale, at 7.5 pounds. It is pretty heavy. It feels very substantially built, and build quality seems to be very good on this. It does have a preamp gain control on the back, which ranges from, I believe, -6 decibels to +12 decibels. I'll check that out in just a minute when I show you the amp. And on the front you have a volume control, you have an input selector to select from your 4 different inputs, and you have a balance control. And I wanted to talk about that for a minute, because when I first tried this amp out, I tried the balance control, and I thought at first it either wasn't working or it was only for the preamp outputs. But what I soon realized, it is very subtle. It is it's only plus or minus 2 decibels. So when you turn it all the way from one side to the other, it doesn't cut the other channel out. You know, it just makes a little bit of a difference. And the way it works is it doesn't really, you can barely perceive that you're adjusting the balance between channel to channel. What it does is it just kind of moves the center of the sound stage. And I don't know, I guess it was about 2 years ago, I reviewed the SPL Phonitor XE, and it had a very similar volume or a balance control. Like I said, very subtle, and it just adjusts the center of the soundstage back and forth. And I really like that, because actually I have a slight hearing imbalance where my right ear can hear just a little bit better than my left ear. And because of that, most of the time when I'm listening to headphones, the center of the soundstage is just slightly off-center to me. It sounds like it's coming from, I'd say, right about the right side of my nose. That would be the center of the soundstage. and I've just gotten kind of used to that over the years. But with the Phonitor XE and with this amp, I can adjust that volume knob, and with this one, or the balance control, and with this one, if I'm at about 10 o'clock, it brings the center of the soundstage right dead smack in the middle where it should be. And because of that, I'm hearing a little bit more detail on the left side that I wouldn't hear normally, because like I said, the right side is kind of, you know, I'm hearing it a little bit better, and my brain focuses on that side more. So I was talking to Anatol about it, and he said that he put the balance control on, you know, to cover imbalances, you know, in equipment, you know, that any amp, preamp, whatever your source, you can have a slight imbalance channel to channel. Also with headphones, it's very common to have a slight imbalance from one side to the other, you know, maybe even a decibel. That was the reason he put it on. He said he hadn't really thought about people using it for a hearing imbalance, and works out great for me. So anyway, I did want to show you the amp before I forget. And like I said, it's a bit heavy, so I'm going to try to be careful here because I do not want to drop this. So anyway, here is a front view. You have your volume knob, you have your input selection that goes to your 4 inputs, you've got your balance control here, you've got your on-off switch here. On the top, you can see your 2 headphone jacks, 6.3 millimeter, and your 3 tubes and your transformer. And then, like I said, being very careful here. On the back, you can see, first of all, you got your 4 sets of inputs, and I did want to point out that these are very nice, high quality RCA connections. I hate it when a relatively expensive amp has those little connections that just kind of press in, and if you have cables that fit tight, you pull the cable off and you pull the little connector, you know, off with it, and then you gotta go get some needle nose pliers or something, pull it out and get the little tabs lined up and push it back in. So anyway, this has very high quality connectors. You're not going to have that problem. Here's your gain control for this. Only affects your preamp out, not your headphone jack. And yes, it is minus 6 decibels to plus 12 decibels. You have your 2 sets of preamps out, and then you have your RC or your 120 volt AC connection here. And then I guess this is a ground connection here if you need that. So anyway, I'll show you the bottom. It's vented on the bottom, and like I said, this weighs 7.5 pounds. It feels very substantial. It's got a beautiful red paint on it. Yeah, I guess you can kind of see it in the picture too, but I love the way it looks, and real wood on the ends. So anyway, I did want to mention the equipment I've used reviewing this so far, and I've only had this, I don't know, maybe 4 days, 5 days, something like that. And this is the one that I mentioned that was misdelivered by UPS, who claimed they delivered this package and it wasn't here. Fortunately, I have very honest neighbors who found it across the street at a farmhouse where no one lives, and about 10:30 that night, about 6 hours after it was supposedly delivered, I found my package. So this thing was missing for 6 hours, and I was kind of freaked out and did not want to have to contact Wavebourn and tell them their package was missing. So anyway, but the equipment I used, first of all, my clean power is provided by Core Power Technologies. And I was using a Cambridge Audio 540C CD player as a transport only, running a digital signal to the iFi Neo IDSD, which is a combination DAC amp I'm reviewing right now that has an excellent DAC in it. And and then I'll mention the headphones I used. Okay, first of all, I wanted to mention that I was told before I even received this amp that it was not intended for planar magnetic driver type headphones, that this was made for dynamics, that it did not put out enough current to drive the planar magnetic headphones, you know, such as Hi-Fi Man, that sort of thing. So I was told straight out, use dynamic headphones with this amp. I guess there is a future version coming out that will have more current available and will be made to drive planar magnetic headphones. But anyway, I was told to stick with dynamic headphones. So the headphones I did use, I started out with the Grotto SR80E and went to the LSA HP2, the Kennerton Valley, and this would be the original version, not the new version that came out in 2019. And then finally the ZMF Verite, which I have on loan right now. So getting into the sound of this, I guess the way I can describe it is it sounds the way a tube amp should. It has that warm, rich, smooth, kind of creamy, liquid, never dry or analytical sound. But at the same time, it has very good detail. I mean, just very good. I can hear every little detail. I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything at all. Something else that I've noticed about this right away is there's absolutely no sound if you turn the amp on or off while wearing your headphones. A lot of amps, especially tube amps, you can get a loud pop or a thump or whatever when you turn them off. Okay, this amp, I can put headphones on, plug them in, turn the amp on, turn it off, no sound whatsoever. No pop, no thump, nothing. I can switch back and forth between the 4 inputs, nothing, no sound. Okay, and I did give this my test that I give all amps as far as background noise. And the way I do that is I've got this old pair of Sony DJ headphones right here, the MDR V700, that are extremely efficient. These things are more efficient than most IEMs. They're like 120 decibels or 112 decibels at 1 milliwatt. Anyway, if there's any background hiss, I'm going to hear it with these. So what I do is I put in a CD or whatever. I have my CD player on. Then what I do is I pause the CD and then turn the volume up all the way up and find out at what level I start hearing any hiss or hum. And even with these headphones, I did not hear anything at all until about 3 o'clock on the volume knob, which is where I started hearing a slight hum, and it got gradually louder as I turned the volume up to 5 o'clock, all the way up. Okay, just a slight hum with these very sensitive headphones. Normal listening on those would be at like about 9 o'clock. So there's never going to be an overlap. You're never going to hear the hum at the same time you're at the same volume you're listening to music. Okay, even with a very efficient headphone like the Grotto SR80, even with the volume knob all the way up, I don't hear anything. There's no hiss at all, and with the Grotto, no hum either. Only with the Sony could I hear a slight hum with the volume all the way up. So what it comes down to, this is just my first impressions. I will spend more time with this, will try more headphones, more music, but so far it's just a beautiful sound, crystal clear, but warm and pleasant and just extremely enjoyable to listen to. And I'm going to tell you something. Okay, the LSA HP2 headphone, that was my headphone of the year for last year. Okay, it's not the absolute best headphone I've ever heard. But it is my best, most bang for the buck headphone. It's $799. I haven't heard another headphone that I think can beat it or even touch it at that price. And I think it holds its own against headphones you know, 2, 3, even 4 times as much. Well, anyway, I love that headphone, and I tried it with this amp, and it sounds better than I've ever heard it before. I've never heard any other amp make that headphone sound so good, and I've tried it with a lot of amps. I mean, at least 10 or 12 amps different, mostly solid state, a couple of tube amps, and this amp just brings out the best of that headphone. The only flaws the HP2 has, in my opinion, is that it could stand to have a little bit more punch in the mid bass. It has incredible sub bass, but it could stand a little bit more punch in the sub bass, and this amp gives it that, a little bit more weight to the sub bass. And then also the mids are just a little bit dry with this headphone. It's super detailed, and like female vocals can sound just slightly dry compared to some other headphones, you know, some warmer headphones like say the ZMF Verite or the Kennerton Odin, or what's another one, the Bear Dynamics T1. The female vocals just sound a little bit dry compared to those, but this amp just warms them up and just makes it sound beautiful. So to be honest, you know, I don't want to go any further with this because I'm not going to leave anything for my full review, but I promise you I will put some more time in and give you more details about the sound. But yeah, it's same thing. The Grotto SR80 made that headphone sound incredible. The Kennerton Valley sounded great. The ZMF Verite sounded great with this. I've got a couple more dynamic driver headphones I will try, and I will get back to you in a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks hopefully, with a full review, and try to give you some more details on this. But so far I'm really enjoying this amp. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up now. Once again, this is William from the Headphone Experience. If this video helped you, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you are all welcome to join us at the Headphone Experience on Facebook. We have grown by like 1,000 members in the last probably 3 weeks. I think we're pushing 11,000 members. So anyway, it's growing like crazy over there. Lots of great people, lots of great information. So I hope you all join us over there. Once again, thanks for watching my video.